Very good evening to all of you. Welcome to Stock Durbar with Team William in India. So we'll be starting the session in next 1 minute. I think few more participants are joining. So please wait for 1 more minute and then we'll be starting the session. Okay, so let's begin today's session. Firstly, a clear disclaimer that the registration granted by the SEBI, membership of BASL, and certification from NISM is no way guarantee performance of the intermediary or provide any assurance of return to investors. Investment in the security markets are subjected to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Okay, let's begin with today's session. So as always, we start with Nifty 50 setup. So if you look over here, yesterday was a very tough session for the market. The reversal was there. In fact, even from after hitting a high on Feb 23, that's Friday. Okay, we made a high of around 22,300, and from there we have been seeing some downfall in the markets, especially if you look at the broader market, the mid cap and the small cap. So there, the corrections are a bit deeper in some selective areas. But broadly, if you see, the Nifty is not more than 2% off highs. We are still trading around that 22,000 level. Yesterday, the closing was exactly at its 21 DMA. So 21,935, 21,935 was the 21 DMA, and we closed very close to that level. Today, we opened below that level. We went below that level, made a low of around 860, but from there the reversal was very strong. In fact, if you see the last 40-50 minutes, there was a huge reversal in the market. Some of the selective broader market जो cash का scripts है वहां पे, even in the on the Nifty, we went higher. We managed to close above 22,000 level. So last few minutes there was a huge momentum in the market. Even the volume was very high. जब buying हो रहा था, the volume was very high. So if you will look at the closing, okay, the closing was around 21,982. But वो adjusted price है. जो पूरा market में momentum मिला, वो last few minutes में मिला था. तो ये adjusted price है, वो नीचे आके 21,982 पे आया. बाकी market 22,060 तक गया था in the last few minutes. So that was a very good momentum. Now, one thing that we were not worried much, we were into a cautious mood because the distribution day counts are 4, and yesterday the closing was just at 21 DMA. But if you look at the volume, yesterday's volume was very, very low. Okay, even before that, two sessions when Nifty was falling, the volumes were very low. So whenever the Nifty is falling, the volume is generally relatively lower, and that what gives us some comfort and some more confidence in the market that okay, this rally might be sustainable. Because if you see that if the current distribution day count is 4, okay, if someone is new over here and don't know what is distribution day, so distribution days are something, an indicator that helps you to फाइंड द मार्केट टॉप्स. जब भी मार्केट एक टॉप बनाने के नजदीक आता है या फिर वी आर वेरी क्लोज टू करेक्शन, दैट इज द टाइम व्हेन वी गेट हायर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे. तो अभी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे काउंट 4 है. अभी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन डे के लिए दो कंडीशन है. फर्स्ट इज 0.2% fall on a volume higher than, first is 0.2% fall, second is volume higher than previous session. So if these two conditions are satisfied, we get a distribution day. So generally 4 plus is not good. 4 is also not good, but if we are trading above moving average, then 4 is fine. तो अभी हम moving average के ऊपर है, then we are okay with 4. But if we see that 50 DMA gets breached from here and the distribution day increase, we will downgrade the market to under pressure. And if it falls further, we go in correction. So that's how the market cycle works to identify the top. So currently we are in a bit comfortable zone if you look. Now, what's important is Nifty holding the 21 and the 50 DMA. So broadly अगर zone देखे तो 750, so 740 is the 50 DMA which is trending higher. So 700 से 900 वाला जो zone है, 950 is 21 DMA. So yes, 750 to 950 zone is very crucial for Nifty on the downside for March series. So now we are done with the February series. So as we start the March series, the zone of 750 to 950. This is very crucial on the downside for the Nifty. If we breach this zone, we might see some further correction. We might go some 300, 400, 500 points or whatever, like जो भी technical setup उस time है, that depends on that time. But we might see some 2-5% fall here and there in the market if we breach this zone. On the higher side, I think the recent high of 22,300, and that is important. So once we are above that high, क्योंकि अभी क्या हुआ, वो हाई लगा के हमने थोड़ा करेक्शन आया 2% जितना, we consolidated a bit, we tested the 21 DMA, we are close to 50 DMA. So now after such a moment, when we again reclaim this high, we might see some good momentum on the higher side as well. So 22,300 on the higher side, 21 750 950 zone on the lower side. This is the current range in Nifty. Wherever we go from this range, we might see some 2-3% momentum on the that particular side. And if you look about the indicators, so yeah, the US inflations, the GDP growth, they are very much in line. थोड़ा miss कर गया estimate को by 10 bips or so, but broadly the things are much in line. Even if you look at the macro indicators in Indian market, they are quite comfortable. We are in a good zone as far as our inflation, our growth drivers are concerned. If you look at the recent NHAI toll collection, that was about 50,000 crore. The other macro indicators are also comfortable. The banking is doing well, the manufacturing, the PMI. So there is no major concern for a बड़े फॉल, एक बड़े फॉल के लिए कोई इतना कंसर्न नहीं बन रहा है. यस, वन थिंग इज लूमिंग अराउंड इज अबाउट द फेड रेट हाइक. सॉरी, रेट कट कब होगा. अभी एस्टिमेशन है कि मई जून में करना है, फिर जुलाई में आएगा, तो वो 1-2 महीना आगे पीछे होगा, 2-4% इधर उधर होगा. बट लुकिंग एट द करंट इंडिकेटर्स, देर आर नो चांसेस ऑफ अ मेजर पुल बैक इन द market. Yes, if you look at the broader market, let's go to some other charts. If you look at the mid cap index, here also we found support near its 50 DMA. So we breached 21 yesterday. Okay, and if you look at the 50 DMA, that is around 47,576. And if you look at the today's low, that is 548. Okay, so it's just at 50 DMA. 47,548 आज का low है. तो यहाँ भी हम, और क्लोजिंग आया 48,335. सो वी आर ऑलमोस्ट 800 पॉइंट्स अबव लो. अगर मिड कैप का बात करें तो इंडेक्स का, तो 50 डीएमए से 800 पॉइंट हमने आज के आज फटाफट निकाल दिया. सो दिस इज हाउ द स्ट्रेंथ इज एज फार एज नाउ. सो नाउ दिस 50 डीएमए becomes very crucial in the mid cap index as well. And if you look at the other important small cap index, here also the similar thing. If you look at here, 50 DMA के करीब काफी अच्छा सपोर्ट मिला. Today it rebounded from 15,642 and 50 DMA is 632. So just 10 पॉइंट ऊपर से उसने पूरा रिवर्सल मारा, and there was almost 300 plus point rally from the lows. So it's a good strength in the market. The 50 DMA is providing good support. So broadly कोई भी इंडेक्स ले लो, मिड कैप ले लो, निफ्टी ले लो, स्मॉल कैप ले लो, सब में ज्यादा कुछ एनालिसिस मत लगाओ ना. सिर्फ 50 डीएमए आप पकड़ के बैठ जाओ कि इसको वॉल्यूम से ब्रीच नहीं करना है. देखो, वॉल्यूम इज इंपॉर्टेंट. ऐसा नहीं है कि लो वॉल्यूम पे एक आध दिन के लिए झटका दे दिया एंड यू गेट शेकन आउट. बट इफ यू सी देर इज सम सीरियस सेलिंग, ठीक है, देर इज सम डीप कट्स इन द leading stocks, जो कि मार्केट को चला रहे हैं, जो मार्केट में इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो स्टॉक इंडेक्स लेवल के देखते, if we find that there is huge selling in those stocks, then and 50 DMA is breached, that is the time you need to be very careful, cut your losses, ओके, बुक योर प्रॉफिट, बिकॉज उस टाइम क्या होगा, जब 50 DMA ब्रीच करेगा, एक डीप कट आएगा मार्केट में, तो जो भी एक्सटेंडेड स्टॉक है 50 DMA से 21 DMA से, दे विल फॉल शार्पली, 5 7 10% फॉल करेंगे, वो 50 DMA को टच करने का ट्राई करेंगे, या फिर इफ इट इज बिलो 50 DMA इट विल हैव सम 4 5 7% ऑफ फ्री फॉल. So it's very important to book profits and cut losses in such a scenario. If 50 DMA is breached on all the three index on higher volume. So it was very simple, this time to gauge the scenario. And on the higher side, we want to go for a fresh high on the Nifty to sustain the rally. If you see some key index, the banking index, it is still trading below its 50-day moving average. You want Nifty Bank to reclaim 50-day moving average as soon as possible. But here also mark this thing that if you look at the volume on Nifty Bank chart, then the volume is relatively lower. Okay, especially this is due to weakness in the private banks. Their NIMs are getting lower because the credit growth in the market is quite higher, and deposit growth is not matching up the credit growth rate. That's the reason the bigger banks like HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak, they are the margin जो है उनका वो थोड़ा नैरो होने का चांसेस है. ये क्वार्टर में वो थोड़ा साइंस दिखा था, रिजल्ट खराब नहीं आया है. दैट डजंट मीन प्राइवेट बैंक रिजल्ट्स वर पुअर दिस टाइम, दे वर इन लाइन, दे वर डिसेंट वन, बट देयर इज एन एक्सपेक्टेशन कि जो मार्जिन है वहां पे थोड़ा इम्पैक्ट आएगा, निम में थोड़ा निम विल बी अ बिट लेस देन व्हाट इज एक्सपेक्टेड और व्हाट इट शुड बी. So that's what getting priced in. But valuation wise, I think the private banks are quite in a comfortable situation. Okay, if we look at a few other index, the auto is doing quite well. So yesterday there was sharp fall in the auto index, but yeah, broadly देखो तो अच्छा है. One thing to note over here is since the last rally, जो अभी का जो rally है auto stock the index में, that has came on the below average volume. So this is something to mark down, because generally when it used to rally, okay, you see there are higher volumes than the or around average volume it used to move higher. यहाँ भी वैसा ही हुआ था, ठीक है. But recently the volumes have been a bit tad lower than what the average volume is. So this is something to mark. So we need to be careful over here in the auto index. But if we see a candle where there is a high volume and it reclaims the fresh high, then again that's positive for the particular sector. Broadly, कल सारे autos के number आएंगे. Tomorrow is 1st March. And all the auto companies will be reporting their February sales numbers कि कितना February में sales हुआ. So if you see that those numbers are robust, and the momentum which had started building up in November, December and January continues in the February, especially the focus will be on the PVs from where the growth is coming currently, and the second will be recovery in CV, क्योंकि CV में अभी उतना growth दिखा नहीं है कमर्शियल व्हीकल में. बट अभी कैसा रिकवरी है, अगर वहां पे भी थोड़ा ग्रीन शॉट्स देखे, या फिर वी सी दैट रूरल इकोनॉमी से थोड़ा ट्रैक्टर्स में या सीवीज में डिमांड बढ़ता जा रहा है, देन यू माइट सी सम पिकअप इन द मोमेंटम अगेन इन द ऑटो सेक्टर. बट दीज आर द फ्यू थिंग्स यू नीड टू बी वेरी, you need to watch out in the tomorrow's number, that how they will turn. If you look at the FMCG index, it is struggling since Fab starting से ये 50 DMA के नीचे है. The rural demand is not picking up as it is expected or as needed for the FMCG companies. So the urban demand is quite robust, which is helping them to sustain a particular price level. But the companies that are having some a bit higher exposure in the rural sector, they are finding it difficult. But gradually, some signs of improvement in the rural markets are seen. So we need to wait for this quarter की या फिर this month कि मार्च में या फिर जो जैन मार्च वाला क्वार्टर है उसमें रूरल में क्या पिकअप होना स्टार्ट हुआ है. विल इट बी पॉसिबल दैट नेक्स्ट फ्यू क्वार्टर्स there will be growth momentum picking up in the rural economy as well. The election season is coming also. So let's see what happens. But I think at an index level, let's wait for 50 DMA to reclaim as far as the FMCG is concerned. Look at the metals. Here it had breached 50 DMA yesterday, but I think today it reclaimed that level and closed above the 50 DMA. So there is some good momentum in the metal stocks as well. There are many stocks which are having a good base formation. They are moving higher above key moving averages. So overall, the demand of the especially the steel is quite decent in India. The infra growth story, the price that they are getting is also quite decent. So there's no major issue around the steel. Yes, China is dumping it in the international market. So a bit pressure around the price if some more dumping from the China happens in the international market, so that can reduce the overall price of the steel, and we might not get that uh, good return from there. Now, if we see the realty index, it is trading near its high, so that's the common thing that's going on. There's a huge demand. New projects are getting filled up really fast. The value that the builders are getting, that's quite high. The organized sector after the COVID is well into the boom, and that's what the advantage the realty stocks are getting. And you can see that it is trading near the new high. So I think till the time it is trading above its 21 and 50 DMA, you should not be worried about because see, whenever a particular sector एक rotation आता है और rally में जाता है, then it generally continues for couple of years. As far as the realty is concerned, so last year April से उसका rally start हुआ था. So it's just 1 year that has started the rally. Double से थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो गया index. So there was some small dips here and there during the year. Couple of months we tested the 50 DMA. अगर यहाँ पे देखो तो अगस्त से अक्टूबर तक इतना कुछ किया नहीं था इंडेक्स, but I think again after the October's low it started a very good momentum. So if you are holding the stock, then don't worry. Just look at the 21 and 50 DMA because fundamentals growth story is still intact. Fundamentals are robust, so no two ways about that. So now I think let's start with your questions, and in between, if required, then we'll discuss few sectors as well, some groups as well. But now let's start with your questions. And just one request, please post your questions only one because this is a live session. So to scroll is very difficult, if someone starts putting the multiple questions at a time. So just a request to put it once. We will try to answer as many as possible. So today we have our head of research, Mr. Mayuresh Joshi, and my colleague Vakar in this room. So we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, let's start with the first query, IRDA, and then we'll go to NALCO. Yeah. So after the IPO, there was a huge momentum in that stock. The stock almost is up 200% from its day one low. And I think the opening was also really good for the IPO. So now it is testing its 50 DMA. If you can closely monitor over here, the red line is getting built up, and this is the 50 EMA, 50 DMA. So today the stock has hit the 50 DMA और वहां से एक rebound हुआ है. So if you are holding the stock, then I think today's low becomes very important. अगर आज के low को cut करता है a stock, then we might see some further selling if it is below 50 DMA and higher volume. On the flip side, if you see that, okay, the rebound is sharp from here and we built up on the momentum over here, then it gives an alternate point to buy. 50 DMA rebound always gives you an alternate point to buy the stock. So let's see how the stock performs. Technically, आज का लो बहुत important हो जाए if you are holding. We see some of the fundamentals. I think they are quite well. The ratings, if you look at the EPS rating, RS rating, buyer demand, group rank, all are among the top. So there's no problem overall in this stock. And last few quarters results have also been really good. The earning momentum as well as the sales momentum is intact in the stock. The next was about the National Aluminium. After breakout in December, the stock is up almost 50% from the pivot. Pivot was around 106, so from there the stock is up around 50% from the pivot. It is having a good support near its 21 DMA. So couple of time it has dipped to its 50 DMA, if you can see my annotation, and sorry, 21 DMA, and it is able to reclaim very fast. So today also it happened, yesterday it breached, and today it was able to reclaim the 50 DMA level. And if you see the last few days, the selling was in below average volume, but आज 21 DMA reclaim किया फिर भी इतना volume नहीं आया. So from tomorrow session, or maybe in the tomorrow session, in the next 4-5 session, what's important is the higher volume should come in the stock, and it should move higher above the 21 DMA on a higher volume. So if these two things happen, we might see some further rally in the Nalco. If someone is holding the stock, then we can keep the stop loss as 50 DMA. If it is recently bought, so just have that 7-8% stop loss to protect your capital in such a volatile market. 7-8% से ज्यादा अगर आपका कैपिटल धुल गया एक पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक में, मतलब जितना वो एलोकेट किया है, then to recover it you need to have a very good return to recover that. So it's better to protect the capital and invest in the stocks that are holding well, or keep it in cash if the market goes in under pressure or the downtrend.
Uh,
That's
Thanks, Ruchit.
so yeah, it is fine in Nalco. So over to you, Vakan.
Okay, thanks, Ruchit. Vakare, first I'll take a YouTube query. It's for Kalyan Jewelers. Thank you. So even from the last breakout, if one looks at it, the stock is almost 10% up from pivot. It's hitting a blue dot as well. So which means that the RS line is making a new high. If we just look at the last 3 quarter results, I mean, considering the wedding season, festive season, both around the October to December mark. So considering all of that, even the December quarter results was very good, and similar kind of expectations would be there for even the last quarter results as well. Overall, EPS strength is kind of low, maybe because no, because of the results prior to the previous 3 quarter results, and hopefully when good results come in, even the EPS ratings would go better. And on the I factor, if you look at the uh, institutional holding is increasing more than 30% every quarter on quarter, which is a very good sign. If someone has bought the stock at this breakout or at the previous breakout, can continue to hold so. Just once it reached the 50 DMA, but it was able to recover very fast from the 50 DMA. If one looks at it, and post the recovery, there was this re-breakout, and post with that re-breakout, good amount of accumulation has happened with the stock. So even if I look at the prior rally from not this breakout, from the previous breakout as well, the stock has never given up its 50 DMA apart from just once in the last few sessions. But even that it was able to reclaim in the next 3 to 4 sessions itself. So one can easily keep the 50 DMA as the stop loss line for this stock, because the 21 and the 50 DMA at this moment is pretty much clustered, and there is good price volume action happening in the stock. The one is holding the stock can continue to hold so. If the stock goes above the recent high, that is 409.7, it is then can be a next set of rally that can easily happen in this stock then. The next we'll look at is Borosil, then Zomato. So, I mean, the stock did break out but was unable to do so. Maybe because the RS for the stock is not that great. And similarly, the RS line is also trending downwards, which is not a good sign. So currently the stock is minus 1% from the pivot. So someone would have bought the stock at the uh, breakout can probably keep the 50 DMA line as the stop loss, because at this moment I feel the 50 DMA will be more or less around that 7 to 8% stop loss mark. Can you show me what's the 50 DMA and 200 DMA for the stock? Yeah, so 50 is around 6% from here. So somewhere will be around 7% from the pivot, and 200 DM is around 10%, 9.6% from here. So that stop loss will be around 11.5% from the pivot. So depending upon your risk appetite, if one has entered into the stock, can do so. I mean, if the stock breaches, currently it found support at the 21 DMA and moved higher. But the only problem for me here is that it didn't rebound on higher volumes. But even the fall in the last few days, the neither of the fall was on above average volume. So kind of a mixed reaction for the stock at this moment. So let's see if it's able to rebound and trade above the pivot or not. Be cautious about the 21 DMA, and for the stop losses around the 50 DMA at this moment. The next we can keep is which was sorry, um, Zomato. Yeah, correct. So the disclaimer: Zomato is part of our model portfolio. If you see it, I mean, if and we are holding the stock at a very decent gains at this moment of around 29-30%. And the stock is hitting new highs on very good volumes, as you can see. And not just that, I mean, if you look at the RS line, even the RS line is hitting new highs uh, post the breakout. If you look at the last 15-20 sessions, every day is kind of a new blue dot for this stock. And simply because the stock, I mean, it's one of those startups where scale had happened, but profitability was an issue. But if you look at the post last 4 or 5 quarter results for the stock, profitability has started to come in. Even with the profitability, the last quarter result, it was one of the highest profitable quarters in terms of profitability for the stock. And similarly, fund holding for the stock have been improving as well. I mean, even with a market cap of more than 1.45 lakh crores, more funds are coming into the stock. And overall, long-term vision for the company continues to remain intact. But I mean, on the technical front, in terms of exits and everything, if someone is holding on to the stock, can keep a view on the 21 DMA and the 50 DMA, because those are the particular 2 points where, I mean, 21 DMA, the stock had able to hold multiple times, and 50 DMA was once the stock found support and rebounded very sharply. So depending upon your risk appetite, think about the 21 and the 50 DMA. If one is following us, do keep in check on your notification patterns. If I mean, if because if certain key moving averages gets breached on above average volumes, or there is some other kind of technical deterioration, or we may profit book out of the stock. So if you're following us in terms of the model portfolio, uh, please keep a check on your notifications for the same.
Thanks, Vakar. I'll take few queries from here.
Yeah,
So Bank of Baroda, yeah, the stock is finding good support near its 21 DMA. So after breakout in the second week of December, the stock has given more than 25% return. And in last few sessions, there is some correction after hitting a high of around 280, but it is still holding the 21 DMA. So I think firstly, if you are looking at a very short horizon, and then I think today's low becomes very crucial. And secondly, if you are holding as a positional call, then I think the 50 DMA around 240 445 and it is trending higher. So 245, 250 wala zone जो 50 DMA बनाएगा, that becomes very crucial to hold. The PSU banks, the balance sheets are quite good, the provisioning is quite high, and if you look at the credit growth over here, that is superb. So last few quarter results have been really good for the Bank of Baroda, and it reflects in its EPS strength of 91. If you see it as a EPS strength of 91, even the RS rating is trading near new high. So last couple of weeks there were few blue dots, means the RS at a 52-week high. We also saw that the buyer demand is really high, A minus currently for the Bank of Baroda. So fundamentally plus technically the stock is well placed, but looking at the market volatility, the way the market highs, you will always need to use a good profit booking rule as well as a stop loss to have to maximize your profit. The next we can go for is APL Apollo. Okay, so here there was some reversal in the last few sessions. So there was constant fall in the stock price after making a three tops over here. Triple top, you can see the first, second, and third. So it had made the triple top in the August November session, and from there was some sharp fall in the stock, and almost 15 to 20% का fall आया था यहाँ ऊपर से 1300 तक price आ गया था. But in the last 2 3 weeks, there you can see there is some reversal. So this was a reversal candle. Low bana ke there was a very good momentum on the same day. The volume was also decent, and from there the stock is gradually moving higher. Today we saw that the stock reclaimed its 200 DMA. The black line है वो 200 DMA, red है वो 50 है. So it reclaimed both 50 and 200 DMA on a really high volume. So this confirms the reversal. But now what we need to see is it needs to cover this 14% to reach the pivot on a decent volume. One thing you need to note over here is that last couple of quarters, the earnings as well as the sales momentum has reduced. So I think the best time to analyze this will be when the Q4 results will come in April. Okay, we need to see that how the recovery in the profit as well as the growth in the revenue, if there is any, and how the technicals are at that point of time. So that becomes very crucial to watch out. Otherwise, the number of fund holding the stock, that's really good. I think last quarter we saw that there was some good accumulation by the funds when the stock was going down. So this is really a positive point. If we see any green shots in the result this time in Q4, we might see some good momentum in this stock. The ROE of 20 is also decent for APL Apollo. So fresh entry according to O'Neill methodology not suggested here. If you are holding the stock, then I think you need to watch out for this 1300 level from where the stock has rebound sharply. Now let's check sale. Steel Authority of India. A good setup since last few months for this stock. After a breakout in the second week of December, around 14 December, there was a huge momentum in the stock. It hit power to pivot, and from there again it fell and breached its 21 DMA, 50 DMA पे support लिया. So this is quite volatile. Again, it went sharply higher from 107 to 150 in just 2 weeks, and then again a sharp fall from 150 to 116. So the stock is quite volatile. And now again, after moving a bit higher, it has reached its 21 DMA and playing around its 50 DMA. So if someone is holding the stock, then the current levels, today's low and 1 2 rupees below that become, so 118 to 120 वाला zone है, वो hold करना काफी important है. अगर उस zone को higher volume पे breach करता है, then we might see some further fall in the sale. But if that levels are hold and if it reverses from here, अगर 50 DMA पे high volume पे अगर ये stock ने reversal दिया, then you might see some good recovery in the stock. Because see, the blended realization जो है sale का, that has improved well in the last quarter. वो 4.5% YOY improve होके around 61 62,000 per ton हुआ है blended realization. लास्ट क्वार्टर में स्टील का जो उनका सेल्स वॉल्यूम था वो थोड़ा नीचे था, 7 8% QOQ डाउन था, 20% YOY डाउन था. तो उसकी वजह से काफी प्रेशर आया है स्टॉक पे. बट ब्रॉडली इफ यू सी द रियलाइजेशंस आर, ब्लेंडेड रियलाइजेशंस अच्छा है. तो अगर वी सी सम इम्प्रूवमेंट इन द स्टील sales of steel and volume increases over there, then we might see some good momentum in the stock. Other is Tata Steel. So here the stock is trading well above its key moving averages. And if you see 50 DMA is providing a good support. So if you're holding the stock, then I think 50 DMA level becomes very crucial to hold. Below 50 DMA, a sharp fall is expected. As far as earnings are concerned, it was really good in the last quarter. The EPS as well as revenue, both the growth were seen. But overall, if you see last few quarters results, so they were not consistent. So result में इतना consistency नहीं है, but the last quarter result was quite well, and the technical ratings are not that great. EPS of sorry, the fundamental rating of 32 is a bit poor. Price strength of 41, little weaker side. Buyer demand अच्छा है एक का, and group rank is a bit weak. But overall, if you see the fundamental per technical, it's a quite balanced stock. If you are holding 50 DMA is important. If you want to take fresh entry, then again a rebound from this red line 50 DMA becomes very crucial for the stock. What are you taking? Should I continue? Okay, I will continue. Nasco, the stock is very volatile around the pivot. In fact, if you see the number of fund holdings, the fundamentals, the technicals, it is quite stable for the stock. And as a disclaimer, this is the part of our watch list. But you can see over here that it is not able to clearly break out. एक बार थोड़ा इंट्राडे हुआ था 2-4 मिनट के लिए, बट वहां पे एक शार्प सेलिंग आ गया और स्टॉक फिर से गिर गया. So yesterday there was some sharp selling in the stock and it had breached its 21 as well as the 50 DMA. Today it tried to hold that level, but there is no major momentum. So if you are holding the stock, then I think it's already below 50 DMA. So you need to be careful in the position. So stop loss अगर देखो अभी नहीं निकलना है तो this 814, 818, it reversed twice from this. So broadly 810 to 820 वाला zone है, वो important है, but that is quite deep. I think still 4-5% from here. So if you had position somewhere around the pivot, and if then the 7-8% stop loss rule should be used over here because it has already breached 50 DMA on a higher volume. On the flip side, if we see some good reversal on a higher volume, or अगर ये pivot के ऊपर भागता है stock, then the story is quite good. So its presence in the IT park, in the exhibition hall, the catering, so all the businesses are doing quite well, and they are expected to do well in the upcoming year as well. So that is not the major issue, but yeah, technically you should get a good entry and some good clarity in this stock.
Thanks, Rich Vakare.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. Uh, so Naukri is left, right? So I'll take first Naukri and yeah, we'll go on. So again, one of the stock that has rallied post breakout, but it's kind of uh, been very volatile, and couple of times it has tested more than couple of times it has tested at this 50 DMA, and currently too it's trading very close to the 50 DMA and below the 21 DMA mark, and the stock has breached 21 DMA on above average volumes. So overall, if you look at the RS at this moment for this stock is deteriorating. The only thing I'll kind of will advise is at this moment keep a keen eye on the 50 DMA mark, because more than a few times the stock has found support at the 51 DMA and rebounded. If 50 DMA gets breached on above average volumes and it does not gets reclaimed back in a couple of sessions, then uh, it's better to exit out of the stock and enter into other opportunities. As I mean, at this moment, the stock, because if that happens, there will be much of technical deterioration. Overall, it all depends upon the investor's risk appetite in terms of does he wants to make a clear cut full exit, or if the exit needs to be partial. But at this moment, 50 DMA becomes very crucial for this stock. I'll take in a YouTube query now. It's a Bajaj for Bajaj Auto. Thank you. So, as Rushit had discussed at the start of the session in terms for the auto sector is quite in a bull run. And similarly, Bajaj Auto is one of the heavyweight stocks in the sector. And post the breakout, once or twice the stock found support at the 21 DMA around the 4,900 mark, and it's just been a one-way journey from there. And the stock is more than 59% from the pivot. In the last couple of sessions, if you look about it, the stock has breached its 21 DMA on above average volume. So there has been some kind of selling, but someone who had bought the stock at the breakout still sitting on handsome gains at this moment. So what would be advised at this moment is keep an eye on the 50 DMA, keep an eye on the 21 DMA as well, because if we backtrack and look at how the stock has behaved around the 21 DMA. More or less, the stock has found support at the 21 DMA post at the start of from the start of the rally. If I mean, it has never breached the 21 DMA. So this is the first time probably the stock has breached the 21 DMA. So the next couple of sessions becomes very important, and even today's lows become very important. That does today's lows get breached in the next couple of session or not? And in the next couple of session, if the stock is able to reclaim back the 21 DMA, and that's the one above average volume. And going forward, keep a close eye on the 50 DMA as well, because not in this rally, but in previous rallies, the stock did found support at the 50 DMA. How far is the 50 DMA, Rushit, from you? So 50 DMA is good around 6.5% from here, but still with that 6.5%, you will still be sitting on huge gains. So yes, 50 DMA can be observed, and but do keep for the short term, do keep an eye on the today's low. If today's lows gets breached, then be even more ultra cautious, because the breach point on 21 DMA was on above average volume. So that is some signs of technical deterioration. The next stock, just a second, that we can take is uh, Man Industries. So a relatively smaller cap stock of around 2,300 crore market cap, but the stock is getting traction. As you can see, overall ratings for the stock is very good. It's starting to improve as well, and even the market cap, the fund holding quarter on quarter has been improving very well, and the stock is more than 291% from the pivot in 204 days, which is a very, very good sign. And the stock has declined in the last few sessions, but just look at the volumes. The volumes have just dried up. So there is no major signs of distribution for the stock at all. So which is a very, very good sign. But going forward, the stock needs to again move up. So the stock has reached the 21 DMA, but no major volume deterioration or price volume action as such. So keep an eye on the 50 DMA if one is holding on to the stock. If 50 DMA gets breached on above average volumes, then I mean it would be good to exit out of the stock or even a partial exit. But I mean, if we look at the history of the stock, more or less the stock has found support at the 50 DMA, And considering the volume patterns as well, that no major smart money has exited out of the stock in terms of on the down days. If the stock finds support at the 50 DMA and rebounds on above average volume, maybe the stock can start a new set of rally then.
Okay, I will take no problem. This question about the stock Balu Forge. So technically, it's below its key moving average. Today, it found support at 200 DMA, the black line, and from there, it is trying to reverse. But if you are holding the stock, then I think today's low becomes very important, because if it breaches 200 DMA, the fall can be sharp further, and the fresh entry not suggested obviously over here. The earnings have been really good in the last 3 quarters. Even the sales growth decent. The number of fund holding has also increased. It's a bit relatively lower, less market cap of around 2000 crore. So some volatility is expected over here. But if you are holding the stock, then I think today's action needs to be carefully analyzed. Today's low is very important, and 200 DMA. If it falls below that and lower volume, you should book profit or cut losses. On the flip side, it has formed a third stage base over here. So if it rebounds sharply over here and to 50 DMA around 260, if it reclaims that level, then the fresh entry can be taken at that point of time. Because अभी जो buyer demand है वो काफी कमजोर हो गया है. So we need to be careful. The other is easy my trip. So here it is moving sideways near its ideal buy zone. It is 4% from the pivot. So broadly अगर देखो यहाँ पे तो fund holding कम हुआ है, but the results are quite consistent. Bearing the June 23 quarter, there has been uh, it is profitable, and the profit is gradually growing. Even the sales numbers are growing well. Last quarter में इतना नहीं था. बाकी it's like fundamentals are improving. Technically not able to give a good move. So the breakout was very clean, but it देखो अगर आप Jan 11 वाला breakout देखो तो high volume पे जोरदार 17% gain के साथ breakout हुआ. But from the next day onwards, continues for 4, 5, 6 session. It went down. Then again it tried to move higher, but failed to move above that 52, 55 वाला zone के ऊपर नहीं जा पा रहा है. Now it is trying to find support near its 21 DMA, 50 DMA also coming closer. So if you are holding the stock, then 45, 46 can be the stop loss level. If you want to take fresh entry, then currently it is in the buy zone, but let it reclaim its 21 DMA, which is around 49.3. Otherwise, the growth story, the tourism in India, the booking, online booking, ये सब growth story सही है इसके लिए. There is no two ways about that. But it needs to continue its fundamental, reporting good result. The next is Subex. So some similar volatility you saw and is my trip in Subex. So after having a decent breakout, it fell sharply, hit 50 DMA, वहां से फिर से ऊपर गया, फिर से 50 DMA, then it again tried to go higher, and now it has breached its 50 DMA and trading below that. So I think if you are holding the stock, then ideally it's yesterday was a good day to exit it. If you are not, then I think today's low or 200 DMA can be used as a stop loss. On the flip side, to take fresh position, technically बोल रहा हूँ, reclaim of 50 DMA is required. Fundamentally, बहुत खराब results आ रहे हैं last few quarters से. So according to O'Neill lens, this does not qualify into the watch list. जिंदाल 100 अगर देखें, तो it has breached its 50 DMA. So it had formed a stage 4 double bottom base. So this is relatively higher. So generally 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are the best stages. 3 only if the story is really good and all the other factors of O'Neill are in place. But fourth stage we generally try to avoid. It's quite a high base, and the chances of the probability of winning it big reduces after the fourth stage base, and that is what has happened over here. Multiple times it tried to cross this 540 वाला zone, but वहां से हर बार गिरता है, and this time It has even breached its 50 DMA on a higher volume today. So if you are holding the stock, then you need to be careful according to O'Neill method. At 50 DMA is breached on the higher volume. If you see some further selling, it's good to book profit or cut losses. On the flip side, if it reclaims the 50 DMA, then it might again move higher. But fresh entry from the fourth base is not an ideal thing. बाकी अगर इसका fundamentals देखो तो earnings as well as the sales growth is really good. The fund holding is decent, and all the ratings for Jindal Saw are also good. Vakar, you taking or continue? Okay. Okay, I will continue. I'll take Kayans. Yeah. Okay, so stock today breakout gave a really good breakout from its stage 2B cup with handle base, and the volume was also high on the breakout day. So it's an ideal breakout. The fundamentals are in place, the technicals are good. 99 EPS is the best. Number of fund holding has also increased. So the stock is in the ideal buy zone according to the O'Neill. And so such stock can be the part of your watch list. And if your analysis is okay with the fundamental and technical, such a stock can be the part of your portfolio with a stop loss of 7 to 8% or 21 or 50 DMA, whichever is comfortable to you. Otherwise, the fundamental story that's quite good for the CANS technology, the way the manufacturing of electric components in India is going on, even the peers, the way they are performing, and the future of next 4, 5, 10 years, a decade looks for these kind of electric manufacturing companies. The government focus on it. जो चाइना से बहुत माल आता था वो इंडिया में डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन द PLI द मेक इन इंडिया so this gets benefit from all of that and that's why it's a very good candidate for a long term holding but yeah you need to be always careful with the technicals and just do not be keep holding the stock even in the losses.
Thanks, Roshit. Vakaria, I'll take some queries. Uh, so again, a YouTube query I'll take first. So epigram, EPIGRAM. So it's a YouTube query, and at this moment the stock did break out, but it's kindly trading at the pivot at this moment because the stock found some selling, but the selling was not on high volumes, and the stock is kindly testing its 10 EMA at this moment. But the fundamentals for the stock for the last 3 quarters have been beaten down, and maybe that is one of the reasons the stock is not been able to get that rally, get that momentum in place. Overall fund holding for the stock is improving. Even prior to breakout, at the breakout, the stock had good price volume action. If someone bought the stock at the breakout, can at this moment continue to hold, but keep a strict stop loss of 7 to 8%, or even trail it with your 21 on the 50 DMA at this moment, because 21 DMA looks very close, and if 21 DMA gets breached, then can definitely, I mean, partially or fully exit out of the stock, because overall loss-making stocks needs to be cut out in terms of risk management. Two, overall the ratings for the stock is also not that great in terms of the RS, and the EPS for the stock at this moment is very weak. Uh, the next we'll look at is Skipper, then Apple. Skipper. Yeah. So, a very small market cap stock, if we look at it in this way, around 3,400 crores market cap. Not many funds are there in this stock as well. Just around 16 funds, and even with the small market cap, no major funds are trying to show interest with the stock. So the I factor at this moment kind of gets ruled out for this stock, which is a not a good sign. Overall, last 3 quarter results have been good. The stock is more than 24% up from pivot. And yes, what Rushad is trying to point out is the stock is forming a late stage base at this moment, that is a stage 5 cup base. So all the late stage bases have high chances of failure. So if people following our owning criteria and our owning methodology would not had entered into the stock, because we tend to because we strictly advise not entering stocks with late stage bases such as stage 4, 5 or higher, which have higher chances of failure. Very few stocks, in terms of minuscule stocks, are able to rally post a stage 4 breakout, and they tend to correct a lot. If someone is still holding on to the stock, can keep the 21 DMA as their trailing stop loss levels. The next can be Affle India. So the stock at this moment, in terms of ratings and in terms of technicals, is highly beaten down. I mean, the stock is finding support at the 200 DMA at this moment. But I mean, if a couple of times it found support at the 200 DMA, so if one is holding on to the stock, should have exited maybe at the 50 DMA breach or something, because other stock, I mean, no major stop loss would have hit at that moment. But why exited? Because many other stocks in terms of RS and in terms of price action movement are performing much better than this stock. So weaker stocks or laggard stocks can be exited, and lead more money can be put into leading stocks. But still, the stock at this moment is trading around the 200 DMA at this moment. So even sometime back it found support at the 200 DMA. If again it finds support at the 200 DMA, keep an eye on it, and then keep an eye on the above moving averages above it as well, that is the 50 DMA and the 200 DMA, because there can be strong resistance around the 21 and the 50 DMA. If the stock gets resistance around those levels, then maybe you need to think about in terms of partially exiting or fully exiting the stock as well. Rushit, we are around the 5:30 mark, so you can take a couple of queries and then maybe end the session.
Sure. Yeah, so CDSL, this has been asked. So it has formed a double bottom base, and the base formation is really good. If you look at the price volume action while the base was getting formed, that is quite positive. And there was some dry up in the volume, low volume fall, and now after the breakout in the start of the February, it failed to hold the breakout and breached the 50 DMA again. Now it is moving sideways and at the verge of re-breakout. So fundamentally, the stock is very strong. Last few quarters have been really good. The ROE of 28, the fund holding is increased, the EPS is of 94. The technical parameters are also improving by demand of A. So if you see that the stock falls in the ideal buy zone, that is 0 to 5% from the pivot, then according to Onin, this is the type of stocks after your advisor or your own research, it can be the part of your portfolio, and 7 to 8% stop loss or 21 or 50 DMA should be used as a stop loss for such a stock. Otherwise, the way the Indian markets are growing, the number of you know people that are increasing in the market participation is really increasing, and still there is a lot of scope because अभी the other market size देखो then compared to other developing and developed economies, हमारा जो penetration है stock market में Indian public का, it is not that higher. So यहाँ पे अभी भी scope है वो बढ़ने का, and the CDSL is a direct beneficiary of this because there are only major two depositories, CDSL and NSDL. So as and when the participation in the Indian market keeps on increasing, it will be always beneficial to CDSL. Okay, so next we can check Rain Industries. इसका ये रिजल्ट बहुत खराब था इस टाइम ब्रॉडली अगर देखे तो. सो दिस वॉलेटिलिटी अराउंड द pivot is very huge, so this is not a stock for trading maybe. So if you are having a long term vision in the stock, अगर growth story stat होता है तो you need to hold it for a long time. broadly it's in a good business. अगर देखे तो coke का प्रोडक्शन है, एल्यूमिनियम रिलेटेड जब भी मोमेंटम आता है ग्लोबल मार्केट में, देन दिस ऑल एरेन ऑलवेज गेट्स बेनिफिट. सीमेंट में भी इसका एक्सपोजर है. सो स्टोरी वाइज इट्स अ क्वाइट डिसेंट स्टॉक, बट टेक्निकली इट्स वेरी वॉलेटाइल. इस बार काफी लॉस किया, 100 करोड़ प्लस का लॉस किया कंपेयर टू सम 12-15 करोड़ प्रॉफिट इन द लास्ट year same quarter. So fundamentally a little weaker stock, but yeah, sales is gradually improving. So if you are holding the stock, then I think 50 DMA stop loss, या फिर ऑलरेडी अगर 7-8% stop loss हो गया है, then according to O'Neill you should be out of this stock. On the flip side, if it reclaims its 21 DMA, then technically there can be some momentum seen over here, but the fundamental doesn't support this to be the part of the MarketSmith India's watch list or portfolio. Okay, last we can take JSW Energy. Yes, after the breakout in December, the stock failed to hold the gains, and it hit its 50 DMA after breaching 21 DMA. But वहां से एक अच्छा recovery, and you can see there was some high volume buying in the stock over here after hitting the 50 DMA, and so this level is giving a very good support to the stock. So now today again it has reclaimed its 21 DMA on decent volume. It is 14% above the pivot, so fresh entry not suggested over here. But if someone is holding the stock, then can use 50 DMA or this 474 as a stop loss. बाकी story wise काफी अच्छा है. The way the power consumption in India is growing, the renewable, non-renewable, both the things are really growing in India. So there's no two ways about the story. And JSW has a very good participation over there. उनके जो plans है, project है, distribution system है, transmission system है, वो काफी अच्छा है. So they will be able to contribute well to the growing power demand, and they will get a good benefit out of it. Okay, so that's it for today's session, guys. If we have missed few queries, then you can always write us the queries and we will try to answer as soon as possible, because it's a limited time and there are a lot of multiple queries that are coming up. So we try to answer as many as possible. So thank you for joining the session, and I hope it was useful to you guys. You got some learning, some inputs for the stocks that you were looking for, and it was a fruitful session for all of us. Yeah, thank you, Pran, Vishal, everyone. So if you want to be in constant touch with us, then you need to follow our morning commentary, evening commentary, and every day at 8:45 a.m. in the morning, we have a pre-bell where we come live for 5-7 minutes, maximum 10, and discuss about how the day is going to be, how the global market has behaved also. So you can be the part of that session as well in the morning. So that's it for today's session. Thank you. Have a great day.